The issue of churches meeting in public school buildings for Sunday services may be headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. 16 years ago, the Bronx Household of Faith sued the city over a policy preventing churches from holding worship services in public schools. Attorneys with the Alliance Defending Freedom have asked the Supreme Court to uphold the freedom of churches and other congregations to rent schools for services. Recently, my co-anchor Charlene Aaron spoke with Pastor Dimas Salaberios about the fight and the right to hold services in city schools.
What's been happening with churches holding services in public schools in New York?
Well, right now, churches have been allowed to continue holding services, and there's been no problem. School has just started, and one of the big questions were, will kids think that because a service is going on inside of a school that the kids will mistake it for a church? And we've never heard anything like that. So churches are doing fine and being excellent neighbors to the Department of Education right now.
Well, what are your thoughts on the whole idea that churches have to fight for the right to hold services in schools while other groups don't really have that problem?
I think it's pretty ridiculous because the church right now serves the city the best. When I think of Superstorm Sandy, which came through New York City, the church was the main volunteer force all throughout all the devastated areas and worked hand in hand. Even the federal government, FEMA, met inside of churches. And it's so odd that the church is the base of support for the whole nation in any crisis, but yet to use it for 2 hours or 3 hours on a Sunday morning has become such a large issue in New York City.
What's behind this whole push to keep churches out of the public schools?
One of the things that we notice in New York City, there's a strong liberal, aggressive movement to attack churches because churches hold up to morality, hold up to standards, and different groups have decided to really focus in on fighting against the church. One of those groups, unfortunately, which showed up in large number to our surprise, was the LGBT community, thinking that, the best way to establish their plans would be to crush the church in the city. But when 16,000 people marched across the Brooklyn Bridge and Mayor Bloomberg saw that this was a growing movement, they quickly silenced that argument and tried to go a different direction.
Excellent way to put it. Pastor Dimas Salaberios, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you very much. God bless you all.
You too.